Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Tuesday, September 13th, and welcome to FYI. I am your girl, Amanza. I'm here with the other crew, members of FYI, Doretta and Sheridan in the house this morning. How are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing? It's a sunny Tuesday morning here in Georgetown, Guyana. Let us see, let's know what's happening in your neck of the woods. If we could have the technical team pull up the comments. I see Beatrice is already in the house. She says, "Good morning, my FYI family. I'm here, and we are happy that you are here. We're happy that you are here." And clear Alexis Chumley Richmond is in the house. Good morning, guys. Good morning. Heaven Faith is here. Good morning to you. And welcome, welcome, welcome to FYI. Let's know which part of the world you're joining us from. We're growing a truly international audience. We have folks from London, England. We have folks from Suffolk, England. We have Long Island folk. We have folk from Australia. So just let us know which part of the world you're joining us from. Good morning to Iowa, Natasha Congreves and Riri Mingo Gary. She says, "Good morning, FYI family." Good morning to you guys. Rachel Wolford says, "A blessed good morning to everyone and many happy returns to you as well, Rachel." Leon Govardhan says, "Hi, beautiful people." Good morning, Leon. Thank you for joining us. It's early this morning. He says, "Talk about the good work the government is doing." Well, we'll see about that. Jerry Mingo says, "Good morning, good morning, good morning." Marlon says, "Good morning, Amanda." Thank you so much, Marlon. There's Christine Burrows and Brian Steele. And Natasha is joining us from Yorkshire. Marling is watching us from Queens. And Marlene Young is joining us from France. Wow. So we're truly growing an international audience here, guys. And Timolyn Yearwood then says she's from the Gulf of Region 6 quarantine, Burmese. Well, welcome to my fellow Quarantinian. I'm a number 50 girl myself. I was born at number 50 village under quarantine. Randy says, "Good morning, Queen Amanda." Well, thank you, Randy. Tuning in from New York. She says it's wet in New York this morning. Well, we have pretty good sunshine here, so we're happy about that. Don Sullivan, good morning to you. Samuel Henry says, "Good morning from Trinidad." And Osman Hodge, "Good morning, guys. Let's know where you coming from. Remember to smash those emoji buttons and share the live stream so that everyone can get the valid and credible information that we bring to you." Our good friend Desiree is joining us from Victoria. Let me just stop and take a sip of my tea. Doretta did a very good job with the tea this morning, yeah. Queens, New York. Sean Abrams is in the house, and Natalia Odwin. She says, "Oh wow, the visuals are on point this morning." Well, we'll let the technical guys know that you're loving it. Candy Nalini Enderjeet, how are you, my dear? Good morning to you. Susan Cantia says, "My Coney is in the house." Good morning, God bless. Let's know what you're having for breakfast as well. Michaela says, "I'm watching from New Jersey." Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And remember to share the live stream. Chester Village, West Coast, Barbies is in the house. Guyana Brown Sugar say, "FYI, up close and personal this morning." Of course. You can't stay one way all the time. You got to grow, you got to evolve, you got to change. And here at FYI and our affiliate programs in the ring and below the belt, we constantly, we strive to keep things evolving and we keep getting better and better with time. So thank you. And it's in no small part due to your help, which is why it's important that you partner with us, that there's so many platforms that you can partner with us through, MoneyGram, Western Union, Zelle, Cash App, By now you know all of the platforms that you can partner with us so that we could bring you valid and credible information. London is in the house. Tessa Waterman, Annetta Allen says, "Good morning, Amanda and panel." Good morning, Annetta. And Colleen Skeet Price says, "Good morning, everyone." We have such a packed program for you this morning. There's so much happening. And I want to welcome our favorite girl, Miss Doretta Fernandez this morning. Doretta?
Good morning, guys. How are you doing? Good morning, all you wonderful folks.
Doesn't she look lovely? I mean, the blue and the flowers just...
I'm trying to think, you know. You gotta do what you gotta do. Ayabo, good afternoon to you, Ayabo, joining us from the UK. I know that you're always here.
Yes.
First, I don't have to ask. Ayabo have already shared.
Yes.
Let me tell you.
Okay.
Ayabo have already shared the stream. She does not play. She understands the assignment. Yeah, she knows what's up. She always at the front of the class, leading by example. Thank you so much, Ayabo, for coming through this morning.
Karen says, share the damn live.
Yeah, well, you know, it's morning. I just be on P's and Q's with the words. So, but when they say it, I read it as it.
By Millie, that's no longer the case. Heaven Faith says, where's Sherrod?
He there
both.
I see. I Candy Lisa P. You know, I gotta tell Sherrod, I Candy Lisa P. have up that photo. I forgot. It says, Juretta, good morning. I was just about to ask where you. I'm here. You know, I'm not going anywhere. Making sure that I'm always here with you guys. I hope all is well at your end. Marlene Thomas. Hey, Marlene, what's going on? Hope all is well at your end. I see Keith Dowland says, good morning, beautiful ladies out of Barbados. Really hot.
Yes. I could do with Barbados, so Lord knows, the beach.
Yep. The water, stick your feet in, walk on the beach.
But you know,
stand between your toes.
You know, I hear they're having such a problem with the Sargasso weed. That's, you know, it's a problem now. It's ruining the beaches almost. Wow. So those of you who are coming out of Barbados, Keith, you let us know what's happening there. It's really bad, I'm told.
Oh goodness! They got to constantly keep cleaning it up.
Yes, they're cleaning it, and some hotels now have tractors that are moving it.
What is a lot?
Tractor load. Yeah, it's really, really, really bad. You know?
I didn't know it when I was there last time. I didn't know the weed at the seashore, but I did not see it in that large quantities. Probably they had moved it already.
Yeah.
I see. I said Rodwell Phrases in this morning. Morning to you, Rodwell.
Hey,
Lovely to join. And Sylvia Allen says, good morning, gorgeous ladies. And never you see why I come on this program, man. So
yes, they make you pumped.
I'm telling you, they give you all the energy. They make sure that when they're done, you know, you offer a great morning.
Yes. Thank you, Merlin Seaford. I said, man, King says he woke up early.
Woke up early, yes. Well, you have no idea.
Thank you for waking up early.
5 o'clock up is late for me. When I get up and I see 5 o'clock, I'm like, oh my God, I'm late. Oh gosh, look, Cher's favorite friend is on.
Aliyah, how are you? Sharon Ali is in the house.
Cher wasn't speaking to Aliyah for a while, you know. They got some beef going on. You all know the vibes, guys. You know it. Out front part, you know this particular name makes me think.
Out front part.
This particular name it's up. I don't know what's going on there. that name, you know.
Morning program and Joy Hopkins. Look, Joy is here. Good morning, Joy. Osmond says good morning from the Bronx. Rodwell says I'm from Rose Hall Town.
I see Marjorie is joining us from the west side, and all lovely folks is joining from the west side this morning. Good morning to you guys. You know, I hope all is well. I hope all is better over there. A lot of news I'm hearing coming out of the west side. You know. I don't know.
Makes you wonder if it's still the best side.
If I need to go over to the west side, I see Candy.
Doesn't he live there though?
I think so. I think, but I don't know. I know his official residence when it comes to his personal space. I don't know.
You don't know?
I'm the least
okay.
interested. Yes.
Ouch.
Candy says, hello, Teresa and Amanza. A very bright, warm, and sunny good morning to you both.
Same to you. Same to you.
Manza, when I read Candy's comment, I try to just hear it in her voice, her particular voice in my head. You know, Irish people, Candy don't play. Hey, Fitz Harburg, Fitz Gulliver, I'm calling your name wrong. Humblest apologies this morning. Seymour George says, Jonathan Amanza, pace and power, please take
it to the back.
Wow. See when people talk to me like that, you know, I gotta do what I gotta do. There's a lot going on, not a lot going on when it comes to people going to the bank. People complaining that they can't even get their accounts open because of the tedious process that you have to go through, the amount of documentation they're asking for and all that. It takes forever. So probably that needs to be looked after the bank before persons talk about taking things to the bank. Guys, but it has been quite an interesting evening for me yesterday. I know for you too.
Been, my goodness. Yeah.
But
there's so much going on in the news.
Manza's going to take us through what's going on in the morning papers, you know.
Well, you started off.
Well, let me go
first. Happy to join.
Yep. Guys, as we're seeing right about now, we've been talking about the very first reporting you got when it comes to monkeypox is right here in the FYI program. I just want to remind you that that we also reported when the first patient, as it was identified, as it was so said by the medical expert. They said they have a first patient there, and that patient was isolated there at the hospital. But we were seeing now being reported that the first monkeypox patient released from the hospital, and as the report goes on to say, Amanda, that the persons that were in close contact with that patient were also there at the hospital, but they have all been checked and rechecked, and now they're given the go ahead to go back into society. And the patient is able to go back now because he's non-infectious, and now he's able to go back out there to work again. So that's what the first thing we're looking at in the morning paper. But we continue to monitor.
We have to, and take all of the precautions. A lot of people, the masks mandate has been dropped, but a lot of people are still opting to continue to wear their masks. That really is your personal preference. Continue to sanitize. You can't lose from continuing these practices that we would have started during the time of COVID. So continue to take care of your health. That's all you have. What's next, Jake?
But we've noted on the west side, a house and a business destroyed in Anna Katrina fire, guys, and this was Sunday. And again, we have to say the report is saying that the fire is believed to have been electrical in nature, and the houses nearby were partly destroyed as well. Sections of the neighboring houses were partly destroyed. We always say, I think we have to get to a point. What happens, I've been noticing, is that a lot of persons, when you do the wiring and so forth, it's just left there. Persons never really go back and do any inspection and so forth. So we have to be careful. And guys, when you are actually doing what you got to do, I let me tell you this. When you're actually in there and making sure that you're installing your wiring and so forth for the first time, make sure it's a certified electrician
that's doing it. That's very important. And this is where, even in terms of the products, sometimes that we allow into the country, the US has a standard that most of these all electrical products have to be UL certified. I'm not sure what the level of certification is here. And to that extent, I think the Bureau of Standards will have to up its game in terms of the products, the quality of products that they allow into our country. But, again, make sure the people are certified electricians. Make sure that the quality of products that you're getting can stand up to the pressure of, and the fluctuations of GPL, because we live at a certain part of Guyana where low voltage seems to be a thing, and power surges all the time. You're at home and the lights are
flickering.
And
but
so it's a problem.
In addition to that, Amanda, one of the things that I do want to say is the fact that we as Guyanese ourselves, we are kings and queens of doing it ourselves. You have your home, and then you wire your home, and then something you need an additional wiring to go to an additional part, you forgot to do it. So you can call in the electrician, you can go just put DIY. You do it yourself, the DIY projects. Those are not things that you can do. I don't even think that is legal. I'm sure it's not legal. Have to have certified electricians coming in. I know the economy is tough and all of that, and trying to do and cut costs, but it's absolutely necessary that you follow those guidelines and have the professionals do what they have to do, especially when it comes to electrical works throughout your home. Don't do it yourselves. If you have faulty equipment, get rid of it. There's so many there's so many fires that I remember that the fire service went and they did a report, and they said, a faulty fan had started this fire. Guys, just throw it out.
Again, it's the quality of products that we bring into the country. And speaking about illegal, we see a beautician she pretended to be a GRA officer.
Oh my God, how does this happen? Come on, take us to this.
So a beautician who allegedly pretended to be an officer attached to the Guyana Revenue Authority and obtained money after falsely claiming to be in a position to sell a motor car was released on $150,000 bail on a fraud charge. The beautician, who is from Buxton, East Coast, appeared before the chief magistrate yesterday. It's very interesting. She obtained the sum from Mr. Nazardin by falsely pretending that she was in a position to sell a motor vehicle, knowing the same not to be true. Things tight.
No, listen. Let us be honest. I don't want to be, pushing the firewood in the fire right now. But let us be honest. Let us be honest. We like to be honest. This morning program, I always say we just don't bring you a gap. We just talk about the facts. I can assure you that if you go and check, you will not see any other period that we had so much impersonation, so much fraud and all of those things. This period, it's crazy. We have persons going out there and pretending to be who they're not every single day. Like, what is going on? We had the man that pretended to be, then we had the doctor, the pretending doctor again come back after being before the court. It's crazy. We have a number of these persons.
We got people pretending to have PhDs leading the country, and people who pretend to have first degrees from universities that don't exist. And then you got people pretending to be GCOM officers. We live in a land of pretend.
But GCOM this is a very serious one, and I have to say, people pretend to be GCOM officers, as you're rightly saying there. We've been talking to you about this, but it brings something else to the front. It brings a more serious conversation when it comes to persons presenting identification when they're approaching you for anything, right? Mm-hmm. Never ever open your doors to people that are not presenting their identification. This includes the police. The police have a responsibility to you to identify themselves properly in order before you should be engaging with them, because this is a pretentious place. A lot of people out there just saying that they are who they're not, so we have to be extremely careful with what we're doing. Persons coming to your home saying that right now, I know today's the 13th, we're 2 days off from Census Day. From that initial start of that couple-week program, persons coming to your homes to make sure they get your information. Make sure that they are presenting proper identification, because I can assure you that there is no guarantee that other persons will not be trying to pretend and come under that pretext that they're coming to your homes. It's a very dangerous time. So I'm going to ask you to check for identification. Do not go talking to persons that are not properly identified and all of those things. And talk to your children also about this period. Talk to your children. Make sure your children know that they're not supposed to be opening doors for strangers and all of these things, because this period of time, persons are saying that a lot of people, GCOM is reporting persons are going falsely. We know the census, like I just said, is coming up, and persons are going to be going to your homes. We have criminal elements in society that capitalize on those things.
Right. And so, I do hope that the Bureau of Statistics, that they're doing a very good, I hope that they're doing the requisite tasks of, giving proper identification, putting out public service announcements that will help the public to identify, those who are the people who are coming, the enumerators who are coming around, and if possible, provide some kind of security. When you were sharing on the cash grant, you had people walking, you had police escorting the people. So this is something that you should consider doing as well, just to minimize the criminal elements wanting to abuse the situation. We talked about GCOM impersonators, and it set my mind to this issue of a clean and a new voters list.
Yes.
And I noticed that the Attorney General is doing everything in his power to have a public trial of the petition rather than allow the petition to go through the courts. And I think it is important that every Guyanese understands that we are either going to decide that we're going to be a country of law and order or we're not. And that is fundamentally what we have to decide. Because all of these theatrics is just geared at moving the country away from the need for a clean voters list. And so we have to, as a people, stay sharp, stay focused. And I expect to see that every FYI viewer who is serious about democracy and serious about the will of the people prevailing, that they will use their sphere of influence to call for a clean voters list. You cannot be. It is amazing to me. At least I've never seen a government that talks about democracy and that accuses the other side of being riggers and of stealing, and they are not interested in a clean voters list, and they are not interested in allowing the petition to be heard. It really is ludicrous. And I think a lot of the theatrics that you're seeing is intended to distract. The PPP government governs by distraction. And a lot of what we're seeing is intended to distract. Well, we'll come to some more of that as we go down. I think we're gonna take the morning brew next.
But before we I just want to make one comment. There's something very important the man is saying there, that they're moving the petition. They're trying to have a public trial of the petition as against having the petition being heard before the court, because the court, there's this law and order, and it's a whole different process there. And I want to remind you folks that, and we say this all the time, we always say that if it's one thing the people have perfected, they have perfected the art of propaganda and misinformation. So that's why they want to go down that route, to make sure that, because they know that they have the channels. Let me just start by that.
Yes.
They have the channels, they have the state newspaper, they have DPI, they have MCN, they have those outlets to push propaganda narrative. They have those outlets to push misinformation, and they have perfected the art of propaganda.
Yes.
And disinformation is not misinformation. If it's intended, it's disinformation. So that's basically what they're doing, the way in which they do it. So that's why they're trying to push for it to not be heard in the court, because the court now, you have to provide evidence and this and that. You just can't go and say, oh, you see this, this is what it means. The court will say, present the evidence, present the documentation to substantiate your claim. And they can't do that. So they don't want it there. They know if it goes through the court, they're going to be looking very terrible, and persons will understand what actually went on there. But you people, I know that you have been, I keep saying that the Guyanese populace have continued to impress me when it comes to the level of information that they're observing, and their ability to analyze and be analytical as to what is going on.
Absolutely.
You know what is going on.
Absolutely. And it is so encouraging, that to see that. I am saying that Daniel Landau cannot have his cake and eat it. He cannot have his cake and eat it. It is either, as the Attorney General, you allow the legal process to go forward, or you come out and say, you know what, we will do what we want when we want, which is what they're doing anyway. So we have to keep monitoring this situation, and the citizenry has to play a role in exposing this for the farce that it is. Clean up the voters list.
It's
and
simple.
GCOM cannot sit and pretend that they have no role to play. They are a constitutional body vested with the delivery of free, fair, and credible elections, with the responsibility of delivering that. So you can't tell me that you don't have the power. The other thing is, Jay, the conduct of the chairperson leaves a lot to be desired.
Oh, God.
The conduct of the chairperson leaves a lot to be desired. And there's a Nation Watch program on the APNU AFC Facebook page where Commissioner Vincent Alexander goes into great detail about his discomfort with some of the decisions that have been taken. It is completely inimical to justice and transparency. And one would think that since the PPP consider themselves champions of democracy, that they would be on the forefront of cleaning up the list, of supporting free and transparent elections. But as you rightly put it, they've mastered the art of propaganda.
Yep.
They've mastered the art of
and
propaganda.
That's what they want to go with. Yep.
Right. So, we are going to get right into the morning brew.
Yep.
Says Ukraine pushes to retake all land from Russia, calls for Western arms. And
Yep.
This is something that's been ongoing, this Russian-Ukraine war, for some time.
Yeah. As I'm seeing, and if I'm taking it directly from Reuters, and we're taking this, Reuters is reporting here that Ukraine said on Tuesday it aimed to liberate all of its territory after driving back Russian forces into the northeast of the country in a rapid offensive, but called on the West to speed up deliveries of weapon systems to back the advance. And we know, Amanza's foreign affairs. I love it when we have these discussions and Amanza's here, because I stay in my lane. I stay in my lane. But particularly, what we have been noting is the fact that the Ukrainians, the president of Ukraine, he has been asking specifically, he's been pushing a lot of pressure when it comes to the fact that he's asking for aid from the West and from all of the organizations that say they're set up to make sure that there's never, ever, ever a war again. And he's basically, he has said on several different occasions that he's not seeing that push that he expected to see. And at one point he did say that, persons should just dismantle these organizations if they're not functioning the way in which they should. So again, we're seeing here, as it's being reported in Reuters, that he's asking for the speed up of the delivery of these weapons that have been promised.
Of arms. And it's very interesting, the way that these situations cause these international organizations to have to almost justify their existence, because that's a stinging criticism coming from the president of a country that is currently mired in war against one of the largest, most well-equipped military outfits in the world. And so it's a situation that you continue to monitor and to see as it unfolds, but really an almost David and Goliath type story, if ever there was one that could emerge in this time in our lives, where a relatively small, compared to Russia, the Ukraine seems to be holding its own, and a president who, for all intents and purposes, was an actor a few years ago, has now really demonstrated a level of fortitude, I think, that has surprised so many. So we will continue to monitor the situation. The war in Ukraine has certainly had its fallout internationally. It has led to disruption in the supply of wheat and a number of spill-offs that we have seen. That really does say to us, Joretta, that our world is so interconnected.
Yeah.
And an event that's happening hundreds of thousands of miles away will literally have an impact on where you live and where you are.
Not the price of plantains that comes from Mexico.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure that we remind you of that. Don't mix it up, right? I just had to be clear on that, There's some things, I said it before, there's some things, yes, fuel, yes.
Fuel, wheat, etc.
And when it comes to fuel, I did say, we're all, as an oil-producing nation, I can't say there's a bad thing. The policy directions have to be different.
And Joretta, you make an important point, because this has been a justification used
for everything.
by this government and their
sugar failure, the war in Ukraine.
The war in Ukraine followed from COVID.
We flood out war in Ukraine.
Flood. Everything is due to external factors and not the mismanagement of this government.
Yeah.
And we keep making the point that you cannot use that as a justification, because when you look at other countries, their leaders are showing initiative and they are delivering relief to the people. Which brings us to the point, and I'm not sure if it's on our notes for this morning, but the UN index, the Human Development Index, the report put out by the UN, shows that 38% of Guyanese are seriously deprived.
Got you.
And our rankings fell in 2020, it fell in 2021, and it has fallen again for the 2021 to 2022 period.
Why is that? It's important for persons to know.
Because you have a situation where you had COVID, yes. But the reality is that this government has not put in the work to ensure that the economy recovers as quickly as it could. Because to do that, to my mind, I'm an economist, requires significant planning and significant forecasting and all of that, to be able to make sure that what you're delivering to what you are promising to the people is actually deliverable.
Yeah.
We have shown, I mean, you've gone into the numbers that show that everything in the non-oil sector has contracted significantly. This government is not doing serious work.
I want to give a number.
Please.
If I could.
Yes, you can.
I just want to just pull it up to
give them the numbers so there's no Direct opinion or a man's opinion.
No, because so guys, and this discussion is just a little spin-off, but just bear with us a little bit. It's a little spin-off of what is going on between Russia and Ukraine as we continue to follow what is happening over there. But then when we bring it into perspective and to bring it into the context of what's going on in Guyana, we are saying that the government, the PPP administration is consistently telling people, especially when it comes to inflation, that the inflation rate is because of it's a spin-off, a ripple effect that comes from the war between Russia and Ukraine and what is going on there. I've been telling you, I've been giving you so much information when it comes to that is not so. But one of the numbers I think is most important for me to give, and this is, I haven't given it before, and I think I failed a little bit in not giving you this bit of details, because guess what? China, you know, how close is China to Russia? They share a border, right? They literally share a border.
Wow. China
and Russia. What is the inflation rate in China? I mean, this should be like 50%, given that the amount of trade, the trade that goes on between Russia and Ukraine, if that is the case. However, guys, believe it or not, the inflation rate in China is 2.2%. What's the excuse now? Yeah. What is the excuse now? Are you saying the Guyana trades with Russia more than China does? Right?
You see? And so
it comes to policy directive and actually making sure that you institute policies that are going to be beneficial and to make sure that your economy is not suffering. China, that shares a border, that does massive trade with Ukraine, 2.2% inflation.
It's about management. It certainly is about management. And I see in the comments, Don Sullivan is asking a question. Why is that if we are the fastest growing economy? And I think it's so important that people understand what those numbers mean, and that those numbers, they do not translate into a better life for Guyanese or a better quality of life for Guyanese. They are propped up in large measure or largely by the
government spending. Let me tell you, it's propped up by government spending.
Issues of government spending. So Doretta can explain it far better than I ever could. But in my basic prepping understanding of this thing, I understand enough to know that what is put out there in those numbers is not necessarily a reflection of improved quality of life for Guyanese.
And a startling example of that would be sugar. You know, we've been going through how much money have been pumped into sugar, how many billions of dollars have been pumped into sugar. But yet, what's the sugar saying? It's 55.9% contraction first half year of 2022. That is a startling example.
And you see, and it didn't contract not only in the production, but also the manufacturing aspect of it. And so, guys, it's important that you understand what this means. So you notice Ashni Singh is out front and talking about, the growth, and the growth, and the growth. But what he has, and he had to apologize to the people of Guyana for such an abysmal forecasting. Everything that he has forecasted would be increased has contracted by 2 times the amount of the increase he forecasted.
And not because
2 times.
Not because of things that happened this year, but he's still blaming it on
things that COVID
happened last year.
Still I mean, come on. These things had happened when you forecasted it, but and this is why it is important that we continue to bring valid and credible information. Because an informed citizen makes informed decisions. And outside of all of this pomp and all of this ceremony and all of this hype that is going on, the numbers are against the average Guyanese person. Certainly, the friends and family and cronies who are all hooked up to the oil and gas industry and own the big businesses, they are seeing growth. But that is not being felt by the average public servant, by the average hardworking Guyanese. They will tell you that life for them has been progressively, has been just harder and harder as the day goes by. And their public servants right now cannot afford to feed their children more than one meal a day. And I'm saying that when the time comes and the PPP begins to dole out, because what they will do is that as it gets closer to elections, they're going to start giving and throwing money at people and so on in the hopes of buying people. But it will be important that you remember that the time that you needed it the most, they chose to give it to their friends and family. So don't come and give me what you think I need when I need it. Give me it when I need it the most.
Yeah. Yep.
Give me it when I need it the most.
Yeah. I see we have a troll online asking what is inflation. So I think that this is the most
I would not even go to Raymond Gallas. People like Raymond Gallas, they do that for
everybody
attention.
Else in the comment section know what inflation is.
You have Google,
else.
go and type in what is inflation and it will teach you. This is an MBA sitting over here, and this is an LLM sitting over here. MPA, right? So, you know, and we can produce our certificates. If you want to talk about dummies, go to State House and ask your president where he got his first degree from. Well, that's what you need to do. No, because sometimes people like these have to understand that it's not every day you'll be in the mood for their foolishness.
Yes, that is correct.
All right? And your hypocrisy and so on will be called out from time to time. So as we proceed with intelligent discourse,
we've been talking about so many of these concepts, guys. We're going to be continuing to bring you the information and continue to advance the discussion, because I know for persons that probably have a little bit of slot in their learning, they can go back, like Amanda rightly said, and the research is out there so that you can keep up.
Beautiful tool called Google.
Yes. But as we move forward, guys, I want to look at what's going on in the regions,
in the region, and we have some sad news coming out of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. 5 persons were killed and others injured as a van overturned in Sandy Bay.
Yeah.
And this is really, really, really bad news. And it says 5 people who were traveling, 5 people were killed and several others injured when the vehicle they were traveling overturned at Sandy Bay on Sunday afternoon. And parliamentary rep for the area confirmed that this unfortunate news is so. Our thoughts and prayers, really go out to the family, and it's shocking to see that he said all those killed were males under the age of 40.
Yeah, I mean, we've been tracking what is going on here in Guyana with the chaos on the roadways, and right there, in neighboring island there, it's crazy. We're saddened about this news because everybody is somebody's friend and family. So 5 persons, all males on the age of 40, being killed there. Very sad.
And they were on their way to a funeral.
Yes, it's very tragic.
They were on their way to a funeral, and our thoughts and prayers are with them.
Yeah.
And we'll continue to monitor that situation as it unfolds. I know there are a number of people injured. Hopefully, the death toll does not increase.
Yeah, but good news for us: no reports of accidents on the roadways. Proud of you,
Thank
Guyanese.
you,
My
guys.
goodness.
Slow down. Arrive alive.
Yep.
5 minutes extra does not.
It doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't make a difference, but it can make all the difference as to whether you get there alive and in one piece or not. And so that's what's happening, that we're tracking regionally. Let's see what's going on locally now. And what it's telling us is that the processing fee on the invoice price for dairy products suspended. That's very, very interesting. And we're following that report out of Fabric News. It says the Ministry of Agriculture yesterday announced that the government of Guyana has taken a decision to suspend with immediate effect the 3% processing fee on the invoice price for dairy products. And Jaretta Finance, the resident economist, can tell us, exactly what that means.
I don't know who. I've been trying to understand who is actually giving the advice when it comes to the way in which they have been managing and the decisions they make as it pertains to the policy measures that they are taking. They went into office. I'm going to say this again, and they've been at pains to tell you, well, to try to explain to you how their measures will actually trickle down to make sure that you, the consumers, benefit from this altogether. And what we can tell you is that it does not make sense. It absolutely does not make sense. And this particular measure that is being taken, again, who's it going to benefit? When you talk about processing fees on invoice price for dairy products, what does it mean for you? It doesn't mean anything for you. And that's what's been happening all the time. You cannot just address one section of society and completely ignore that you have consumers at the bottom that are being affected, that these benefits never ever trickle down to. Every last bit of their policy directive is aimed at one thing. And no matter how much people go out there, no matter how much, let me just say this, don't take it from me. Very recently, none other than the President of the United States give his address, and he said trickle down economics don't work.
We've been saying
President of the United States, it's not being said by me. I've been saying it over and over, but we'll have persons come online. We'll have the representatives, the supporters of the PP administration come. They're going to say, oh, that people don't know what it's about. The President of the United States added his voice to all the economists and every other specialist around the world that says this has been a proven failure. But yeah, we continue to do it here.
We continue to do it here.
I don't get it.
And we continue to fail to deliver targeted relief to the people that need it the most. We remember when the Ali administration, they did away with a certain tariff on shipping, and he literally had to beg. He had to beg the business community to pass those savings on to consumers, and they never did. And so you see them, they keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, and they fail, Doretta, to bring any meaningful relief to hardworking public servants. I mean, what happened to our teachers and our nurses and our chairmen and women, our security guards? What is going on with our police force? And just the public servants that keep this engine going. They continue to be neglected.
And as you know, and we're talking about that. We're talking about who's being neglected, and we have to move on to what we're looking at next, guys. And believe it or not, public employment falls by 10.9%. I'm happy that I see some persons picking up on this bit of reporting, because at the last press conference of the Alliance Exchange last Friday, I went into the details when it comes to what this particular number means. And I said Ramsey's government must observe collective bargaining and pay Guyanese better. Let me get back this conversation, because if you go back to the February budget debates in the National Assembly and the conversation that was had thereafter, one of the things that you would notice is that when questioning Ashley Singh as it pertains to the pay increase for public service, I asked him myself, I stood up myself in the National Assembly, and I asked him about this process of collective bargaining. And I said, do you intend? He stood up and he said, we intend to go out there and consult with everyone. And I said, when would it start? When would it start? He said, they're going to be doing it as soon as possible. Here we are.
We're in what?
September. Midway September 2022. Nothing starts as yet.
And this is what we continue to say, that we have a government that they're just into a whole lot of fluff and theatrics and drama. And don't let me talk about Irfan at Maka the other day, but we're going to come to that because I have some thoughts on that matter. But when you talk about public employment falls by 10%, the reporting we're taking out of Kaichur News, an article by Zena Henry says that the Bank of Guyana mid-year report has recorded a significant dip in the number of persons in the employ of the state, particularly with central government.
But that is the one, man. So let us go on that. Let's stick on the central government number. If we can stick on that particular number, 17.7% decrease as compared. Guys, when you're doing, let me just add this, because a lot of persons are not aware. When we're talking about to have the mid-year report being issued, it is looked at against the first 6 months of 2022 is looked at against the first 6 months of 2021. That's how the mid-year report is looked at. So when you hear that there have been a decrease in employment by central government by 17.7% in the first half year, that is a decrease from what it was at the first half year of 2021. So from 2021, the first half year, then to now 2022 first half year, what we're looking at, what we're seeing is that they have sent home people, they have fired people. It's either they have fired people, Manza, and that is the majority of it, or people just can't take the struggle under the minimum wage, and they say making sense no more. But we know, we've been reporting that they've been firing people.
And you see, look, and this is where, you know, when Irfan Ali makes nonsensical statements about proving racism and proving marginalization, I don't think he understands what he is saying. This kind of furtive racism and marginalization that this government practices, you have to be able to dissect and discern where it comes. And here it is, you have an objective criteria saying that this employment has decreased. We have been saying that there is an insidious practice of sending home certain people who look as though they are associated with a particular party or who may have a particular political affiliation. And what we're seeing here is that the numbers issued by the central bank, they are corroborating what we have been saying. So people are either leaving or people are being forced to leave. Now, the problem that you have here, Jaretta, is that because our economy is supposed to be booming, because we are now transforming ourselves into this oil-producing nation, it means that you have to be building capacity in the public sector. Yeah, but so with people leaving and with employment decreasing, what is that saying about the capacity of our public institutions?
But not only that, Amanza, and you're absolutely correct, but when you look at the more pertinent number, you would realize that the 2021 budget was 383.1 billion. The 2022 budget is 552.9 billion. Literally telling you that the budget increased by $169.8 billion from 2021 to now. So how is it with more money in the system that you need more resources to actually get out there and be efficient in your spending? How is it that the central government decreased employment by 17.7%? And more interestingly, how is it that sugar production decreased by 55.9% in the first half year, but the employment increased by 7.7%?
And so the numbers are telling a story. And you simply have to follow the numbers. When we spoke at the budget presentation last, we warned that we did not have the human resources at that time to implement such a big PSIP, a public sector improvement program, infrastructure program. And we warned that, look, we're going to have efficiency leaks because you have an efficiency gap of 41%. Means that for every dollar that you spend on a public works project, a public infrastructure project, 41 cents of that is wasted.
Oh my God.
So it is important that we deal with these matters in a manner that the public can understand that we're in trouble.
But we can go into a little bit of those numbers very, very quickly, guys, because when it comes to the lack of efficiency, Amanda, as you were saying, guys, we always tell you, we just don't come and have a gap with you. We always bring the facts. There's nothing that we say, we don't back up by the data. You know, just yesterday we've been speaking about it, and I can give some of those numbers. It said the Ministry of Education was allocated $74.4 billion in the year's budget, and by half year, it has spent $32.2 billion. Manza, that's one of the excellent performing ones. That's one of the excellent performing ones. Let us go. Ministry of Health was allocated $73.2 billion, but in the first 6 months, it had only spent $26.5 billion. this is what is going on. This is the lack of capacity. Ministry of Public Works allocated 49.2 billion for road works. At the end of the first 6 months, only spent 12.3 billion. When we are telling you that there is a problem with employment in central government dropping by 17.7% in the first half year, and this is what it is translating to: lack of capacity to actually do work, lack of personnel, professionals on the job to actually execute.
To do these tasks. And I'm hoping that somebody in the Ministry of Finance is tracking this and that they're drilling down more into the numbers, because what you would need to know is, okay, who is the type of staff leaving? Are these all engineers who are finding that the private sector is more lucrative?
Yep.
What is happening? But because this government does not believe in transparency, they don't do this type of research. So they're not a government that governs based on information and data. They do not make data-driven decisions.
Yep.
You know, it's about emotion and their constituents. And speaking about emotions, we want to talk about what happened in Mocha.
Yes,
In
please,
Mocha
let's go
Arcadia.
there.
And you know, I think Irfan Ali, in his bravado, did not understand that he was making the exact point that he was asking us to make. He was making the exact point that he was asking us to make. Here you have an official of the NDC standing up to say, Mr. President, your government took a decision to give a $4 million subvention to NDCs for a particular purpose. There are 4 NDCs. Coincidentally, those NDCs were won at the local government elections by the coalition that have not received these subventions. Those are the facts. It's not bravado. He didn't get up to be rude to the president. He brought the facts. What Irfan Ali demonstrated is his ignorance of what is really happening on the ground, because you heard him say, oh, I don't know about that. It therefore means that he sits at State House and at the office of the president, and he clearly has no idea what his ministers are doing down below, because had he been properly briefed, he would have known that this 4 million subvention was given, and it was not given to 4 NDCs that are controlled by the coalition. And what is more, he misunderstood, either unintentionally or deliberately. One can determine for themselves. He completely misunderstood the man's statement and went on to talk about whose lives are run by the coalition, and then proceeds in a most banal manner to make the point that he is some righteous figure that is here to save the people of Guyana. The people of Guyana need saving from the PPP. That is who they need saving from. Cost of living is on the increase. Public servants cannot get a wage increase. People can barely afford to feed their families. And you have Irfan Ali on a bravado tour, and he's being clapped by his sycophants who surround him to encourage him to believe that speaking in such a condescending manner to a citizen of Guyana is something that is acceptable. It is not acceptable, Irfan Ali, for you to speak to a citizen of Guyana in that manner. It is the antithesis of what you say you are, the chief servant of the people. Your tone was condescending, you were rude, and you completely misinterpreted what the gentleman said. And you should apologize. It's very simple. He should apologize for that. And in making himself a spectacle, he has drawn attention to the fact that the very discrimination that he is asking people to prove, his government is guilty of. I would have expected that by today, those 4 NDCs would have gotten the $4 million subvention that the other NDCs got.
You're going to wait for that.
And it is a matter that we are going to be following up, because we will not tolerate this kind of disrespect to the people of Guyana, and we are going to continue every day to ask, when is Mocha Arcadia and all the other NDCs that are controlled, using the word control, that are governed by coalition, the coalition, when will they be getting their subvention? It is time we put empty rhetoric to rest and govern in the real interests of people. I'm sorry that I had to get worked up, but foolishness like that gets to me. And then you cannot as a society condone that level of disrespect from a president. I don't care who you are.
Yep.
You do not speak to the people of Guyana.
The elected officials.
Like that. You are the chief servant, but then you want to come and abuse and use it to make a cheap point that is pointless about who running whose life. But you know, in what he said, because one of the things that I've learned very carefully is that when you hear people like Irfan Ali rant, listen very closely to what they say.
I do.
And what it tells you is where their paradigm is. And everything that they project on you, it is what their way of thinking. Yeah. So when he talks about PNC or APNU running people's life, he is of the view that the PPP runs the lives of Guyanese. And that is the only way you could hear a man talk about an NDC and equate that to people's lives. That is why you came to that conclusion. So Irfan, you need to take several seats and you need to govern this nation with some modicum of respect. You don't get up to shout to make cheap points. It's bravado, empty rhetoric. Give the NDCs their $4 million.
And that is control, you know, that is the embodiment of control. What he did there, to saying, blatantly saying that he is going to go around everything that he said. That's what it says, that he is going to be going around the elected body and he's going to be doing what they want to do without consulting with those persons. That is the embodiment of control.
This is where you see, this is where you see that this is a government based on domination and control.
Yes.
And I want to say to those people who were clapping that you need to take a long, hard look at why you were clapping. Because I will tell you what goes on in these local and how the PPP works. And it's important you understand how they work.
Yeah.
Guyana is a small nation. Everybody know everybody.
Yes.
You know half of Guyana and the other half know you. Everybody knows everybody. In local government and in small areas like Mocha, Arcadia, what you find is that people know people.
Yeah.
And in the course of daily life, differences arise between people. And what you find the Ali administration is very good at is going in there and exploiting personal differences that people have. And they exploit them for political gain. And so because I might not like Jaretta, and Irfan Ali come and display on Jaretta, I'll be, yeah. Not understanding that I am contributing to my own demise. Because not because I don't like Jaretta means that if Jaretta stands on a point of principle, that I can't support her. I should support her. Because what she is fighting for is my right to self-determine through my local government, through my elected officials. And so that is the psychological games that the PPP plays on people. And they create situations and then run in to be the savior. But the people are smart. As you said this morning, the people are demonstrating a level of analysis and assessment, and they're going after information that will put this government in trouble. So for those who think, it was a show of bravado and whatever, nonsense. Nonsense. It was a poor display of governance and of a president to a community. And, you know, it shouldn't be condone, but you know, I've said a lot. Time for the big issue.
Well said, man. So well said.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
as we were saying,
as we continue this morning's discussion. Oh my God! From one to the next, it is the big issue. You know, we can't. How do you move forward without actually looking at what he's saying? You know. Irfan is saying here, guys, you know, believe it or not, that big development plans being worked on. What is going on?
Big development plans being worked on. And not only that, Jaretta, jobs target will be surpassed.
Okay.
So we just read about a 17% decrease in employment, but our job targets are going to be surpassed.
Over 31% youth in unemployment. You know, I don't even.
What are the employment stats as it relates to women?
The birth statistics have been lacking when it comes to the report that they should be putting forward, especially when it comes to the labor survey that's supposed to be on a quarterly basis. Because I've been noting the lack of posting of those reports online. Because I look for them every day, so I know that it's not there. So, guys, you know. The administration went out there, Amanza. I'm going to let Amanza bring you right back to this, but I'm just throwing this bone in right now. The administration went out there and they promised 50,000 jobs. Then they came and they said it's Photoshop. Amanza, please, save us.
What want to say? What you want me to say? It's just big talks. It's a lot of talks. And it is very apparent that, you know, Irfan doesn't have a clue as to what he's doing. Yeah. And this is how you know when people don't have a clue, they can't get specific. So yes, a lot of big things coming and a lot of big things are happening. And then you ask for specifics. When you ask for the numbers, you can't get them. Because the reality is that Irfan believes that sad turning and the number of hotels opening up is somehow a marker of development. So if he could go somewhere and turn a sad every week, he's a happy president.
Oh goodness! Oh my goodness!
So we have 50,000 jobs promised, but again, just like the half-year report, we're showing a contraction in employment in central government. So where were these jobs promised in the private sector?
No,
help me out. They didn't say.
No, you know, it's crazy because when it comes to job creation, they're not doing anything. No one has been incentivized to even look at the public sector at this point in time because public sector wages ain't going nowhere. The cost of living on the increased inflation, you know, when you talk about inflation, you know, it's a decrease in the actual purchasing power of the money that you have. Guys, but in addition to all of the big talks, one of the big talks that they're going to have right about now, Irfan is saying that the technical team is going to be here to aid in revamping of the sugar industry.
$7 billion later. $7 billion later. Now a technical team is coming. $7 billion later. Down a black hole. Sugar has contracted by 55.9%. 55.9%.
6 months. 6 months in.
6 months in the year. And now a technical team is coming. How long are we going to allow these people to sit and to fool us? They do not have a clue as to what they're doing. They don't have a clue. And you can talk for rain, talk for sun. There might have been mistakes made under the AP and UAMC, but by God, without all money, they did a sterling job.
Excellent.
Of managing this economy. Public service had increases. You saw in the middle class beginning to emerge. Because let's be honest, the informal economy under the PPP administration, when the AP and UAC took government, the informal economy, i.e. drugs, money laundering, was larger than the formal economy.
Yes, it was.
But these are the things that they don't like to talk about.
Correct.
So that you had a middle class that was beginning to emerge. People who were senior public servants could afford certain things. Now, 2 years later, we are back to the same thing, where you, as a hardworking public servant, would have between 2015 and 2020 stood a chance of saying, I want to buy this property. Now you got a man come with a bag of money and outbid you. Because once again, the informal economy is thriving and it's booming. And what it means is that the hardworking people can't afford certain things.
It's true. It's true. Very much true. You know, very much true.
But y'all don't want to talk about that. You know, the trolls that the PPP put on here in the morning, they don't want to talk about
what
that.
What did we meet the minimum wage at? 25,000? I think that's what it was.
35,000. Left it at 70.
Yep. And guys, and you have to understand when we talk about purchasing power, I just said inflation is actually decreasing your purchasing power.
Absolutely.
The purchasing power of your dollar. And when we talk about inflation, And coupled with what you're talking about, the increase in wages and salary, consistent increase in wages and salary, you must understand that under the coalition, inflation was almost non-existent. You know, I have to say, Mr. Jordan did a phenomenal job at keeping that, like, they keeping it at bay at levels at which it was then, 0.9%. That's practically no inflation, And that year you're getting more money with almost no inflation. So your purchasing power, your ability to raise your own standard of living has increased significantly. That is good governance.
And that is absent today because with all of the oil money in the economy, if you are to take a personal walk around Georgetown and you're to approach 10 people, 9 out of those 10 persons will tell you that they're catching hell. And not only are they catching hell, but you'll find the only people who have good things to say are the people who are benefiting from the corruption and the cronyism.
Yeah.
Well, and that is what you can take to the bank.
Take that to the bank if we want to take anything.
As we go into the bank, let's take that to the bank. That the only people who are benefiting are either in the friends and cronies category or who are friends of the friends and cronies and have set themselves up to receive the crumbs from the master's table. But the hard-working people who get up, jump in the minibus or the car, to go to keep the engines of this country turning are paid scant regard. And I want to remind our people that it was Barry Jagdeo who warned that we got to pay back all of these increases here that we're getting. Jagdeo said that, do you recall?
I've been talking about this for a while.
He said that we will have to pay it back. And this is Jagdeo doing that, meting out his anger on the people of Guyana, because how dare y'all? Like, who are you to expect a salary increase as a public servant? Yes. A proper salary increase, a livable wage. Yeah. Oh, please, come on. Who are you to expect that?
Basically what he was saying, because in that same breath, he goes on to speak about how much they're doing for the friends and cronies, that category of people. So basically what he's saying is that I'm going to choose to direct money to who have and leave you that don't have to continue to not have.
And then be disrespectful. that thinking that by coming in your community closer to budget time and saying, oh, you get a car, you get 10,000, that you will somehow be bought. That is how they think about you in their minds. And I want you to remember when they come, the nights that you had to cry because your children went to bed hungry. I want you to remember that when they come again, because they will come. And I want to make a very important point to our people. When the government goes to your area, you make sure that you go.
Yep. Make sure.
Make sure that you go. And not only must you go, you must go with your list of questions and your list of demands. Don't let me hear it said that you are boycotting a meeting of the government. That is not in your best interest. It is the government that controls the nation's purse and the spending. So if you hear they're going to Mocha, I expect everybody in Mocha to show up.
Yeah.
And not only to show up, but to say, look, this street need doing.
Yeah.
This water treatment system got a problem. We getting low voltage in the area. They are the ones that control the government purse.
Yeah.
And they are the people with the money to solve the issue because they go into the National Assembly and they determine how they will spend that their money, because it didn't come out to Jagdeo in their fan pocket. It's taxpayers' money. And so you must represent your interests. So wherever they are going, you go. You turn out in your numbers and you make sure that you go with your list of demands. You make sure that you go with all of the infrastructural work you need done, and then demand that they work with your local government officials to get it done. Yeah. It's very simple.
As simple as that. I could not agree more. There's not much more to add there. But Moko, so much needs to be done there when it comes to road work. You remember, guys, little kids lost their lives in a fire. The fire truck stuck there for hours, can't move because of the access road, not just non-existent,
And the other thing about Mocha is, and the MP for that area has been highlighting this for every week almost, the drainage works that they are doing is causing the farmlands to flood, and farmers are losing millions and millions of dollars in crops. You cannot be content with Irfan Ali going to Mocha to say, oh, a new road will raise your property value. Why are you selling it? Are you mortgaging it? Do you own the property that you live in? But your farmlands are your livelihood, is your livelihood. That is where you gain your money. And they're doing things that are affecting your ability to earn an income and to feed your family in a sustainable manner. But coming to tell you about property value going to be up because of a new road, and you're blocking the canals. And when rain falls, the farmlands at Mocha are flooded and farmers are losing millions and millions of dollars. That is the reality of what is happening in Mocha, and no cheap theatrics that Irfan pulls will do away with that fact. So, you know.
That's right there is why they tend to want to go around the elected officials, that conversation, guys. That's it from me, Amanzo.
That's it for us this morning, guys. Continue to share the live. Smash those emoji buttons so that we can get valid and credible information. And remember always, informed citizens make informed decisions. Let's not be swayed by the fluff and by the photo ops and by the song bites. Nation building is a serious task that you have to roll up your sleeves and get serious about. And no, Orin, I am saying go to the meetings and demand what is your rightful due.
We got to be smart people.
Right?
Come on.
Go and demand what is the rightful due. They control the public financing. And if a bridge needs doing, in addition to your elected representatives going and highlighting that issue in Parliament, when they show up, you must make your demands known. And that is how you get better for your community. So don't get it twisted. That is what we are saying. The strategy of boycotting these things is old-time politics and stories. Go and make your demands known. You stay away, and it is inimical to your interest. Yes, they will use it for photo ops to say, oh, the people turned out. But as Doretta pointed out, when the AP and UFC was in government and you went into what is traditionally a PPP stronghold, the people turned up in numbers because they understood that it is the government. It is the government that controls the person. Then when you make your demands and they do not fulfill them, then is when you understand that, oh, really, they're not about governing for the people, by the people. They're about friends and about cronies. So, folks, thank you for joining us this morning. Go out there and make it a great, great day, in spite of all of the challenges.
Do your thing, guys. Do your best. Have a good day.